We are recording.
Wow, that's a lot of sponsors. You guys did great.
We actually did really well this year. We're so proud of our sponsorship committee. They really kicked butt. We have 81 companies sponsoring. We raised almost as much as we did last year. We raised 330 and last year we made 348. So we're close. Welcome, Ariel. You're in the right place. This is the Crew DC event to talk about our Crew Network Foundation scholarship process. We're going to be starting in just a couple of minutes.
Okay, thank
Hi, Tracy. You're in the right place. This is the Crew DC discussion about our Crew Network Foundation scholarship process. We're going to be starting in just a couple of minutes.
Okay, thanks.
You bet. Okay, my clock says 12:02. So I'm going to get this rolling. Welcome, everyone. My name is Kathy Alger. I'm the Executive Director for Crew DC. And today we have a discussion, a very practical discussion from people who've been very successful in the process of both winning scholarship and choosing scholarship winners to help you have your best chances at winning one of the Crew DC Crew Network Foundation scholarships. So I am going to stop my screen share as soon as I figure out where that button is. There we go. Screen share stopped. And I'm going to turn it over now to Mandy Whedon, who is with Crew DC and is going to kick off the discussion with our panelists today.
Thank you, Kathy. Welcome to Crew DC and UCrew. So glad to have you. Thank you for joining us to hear from one of the 25 Crew Network Foundation scholars and the chair of the Crew Network Foundation. As Kathy said, my name is Mandy Whedon. I'm the founder and CEO of Feroce Real Estate Advisors. I advise real estate owners on how to unlock value within their portfolio because I like to solve puzzles. The bigger, the better. So a little bit about our run of show. We're going to learn about the scholarship from 3 different perspectives. We have the opportunity to hear from Autumn, who's the expert in the room, and we'll have plenty of time for Q&A. So just a little Zoom land etiquette. Thank you for monitoring your mute button. And if possible for keeping your cameras on so that we can engage with you and see you. For the students who have joined us, as well as anyone else, please feel free to type your name in the chat box. And if you are a student, we'd love to know your university and the degree that you're pursuing. So I'll get started. We'll jump right in with introductions of our two guests. So Autumn is a fourth-year Masters of Architecture student at Howard University. She will work to create a design culture focused on curating meaningful user experiences through quality design while positively adding to the urban fabric of overlooked communities. We're so happy to have you today, Autumn. Thank you. And Jeanette. Jeanette is a member of Crew DC, AZ Crew, and a member of the board of directors for Crew Seattle, along with her role as the 2021 chair of Crew Network Foundation. She's also a member of the industry advisory board for Virginia Tech's real estate program, and she sponsors a Virginia Tech student every year to attend Crew Network convention. So what we'll do next is we'll have Jeanette share a little bit about Crew Network Foundation, and from there we'll hear from Autumn. So Jeanette, over to you.
I haven't done that in a long time. I've been really good about getting my mute on before I talk. So thanks everyone for being here. It's my honor to serve as the 2021 Crew Network Foundation Chair. This is an organization I have passionately supported since its inception in 1998. It's a long time ago, and I'm very honored to be one of 88 Crew Network Visionaries, which is a program that recognizes people who have a strong commitment to our mission. And I loved that when they instituted the program, I was one of the first inductees. I think there were 12 or 13 of us at that time. So before we get started, I'd like to just give you a little bit about the foundation. We won't spend a ton of time because we're here to talk about scholarships and how you can be successful in getting one of those. But our foundation supports 4 pillars. We look at it very, very simply. We have a research pillar, and Crew Network does industry leading research, and it is funded in part by gifts to our foundation. We're the only organization who does this type of research, and we find it very critical in advancing women in our industry. We do an annual white paper, and then every 5 years, we actually do a benchmark study, one of which was completed last year. And that really provides us with data and action items so that we can make sure we're advancing women in commercial real estate, but as well having a positive impact on our industry. You can find all of those resources on the Crew Network website at crewnetwork.org. They're really great reading, and it's really important to make sure we're getting the word out about what we need to be doing to continue on our mission. Our second pillar is Crew Careers. This is a really fun one. It's a hands-on real estate 101 that the chapters put on in local high schools and work with high school girls to introduce to them what career opportunities are out there in our industry, in the commercial real estate industry. And if anyone on this call has a young woman or maybe knows of a high school that might like to have or might benefit from a Crew career outreach program, please let one of us know or put it in the chat, and we'd be happy to get the appropriate chapter to do some outreach and make sure that that can happen. Our third pillar is UCrew, which is our career outreach program which introduces college students to networking fundamentals, career resources, and relationship building opportunities. And then last but not least, why we're all here, which is our scholarships. And the foundation is very excited to be awarding 25 scholarships again this year. To date, we have awarded 171 scholarships, and that amount totals over $1 million, which is really awesome. In addition to the $5,000 US or Canadian equivalent, we do Canadian scholarships as well. Each person awarded the scholarship will receive a paid internship opportunity for the summer of 2022, an 18-month student membership to Crew Network, and the opportunity for a complimentary registration to the Crew Network convention, which is currently scheduled to be held in Las Vegas in September. So thank you so much for being here. We're really excited to be awarding these scholarships, and we hope what you learn here today will help you. And now I would love to turn it over to Autumn to help you learn even more.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Autumn Tomlin, fourth year architecture here at Howard University. Next year I'll be graduating in May 2022. So just to share a little bit about myself, I've wanted to study architecture since about the 8th grade. I met an architect on a career day opportunity in an art class. And she just kind of just shared her experience as an architect, where she was talking about how she got to design homes for, you know, famous celebrities and things of that nature. And it really intrigued me because as a kid, I was already interested in a lot of the creative stuff. So playing with Legos, doing paper crafts, just anything I could get my hands on and just kind of make something out of it really excited me and intrigued me. So when I found out about architecture, I just kind of ran with it, because it's like you get to design something on paper and then see it come to life and see people use it on a daily basis. And so from there, I took architecture classes in high school, and then during the application process of applying to colleges, I looked at Howard University and noticed that they had a strong program for African Americans, you know, being a minority, and wanting to be around people that kind of understood my experience. And so that's how I ended up at Howard. And from there, my love and passion for architecture kind of grew more from wanting to design things on paper and see them come to life, but more so, how can I impact the community? Growing up in a small community that's kind of in a depressed state where it's not as developed as it should be, kind of inspired me to want to be able to have an impact on the built environment, and seeing how the built environment can affect our daily lives and affect how people operate in the real world was something that really inspired me to want to pursue architecture, which later then inspired me to look into commercial real estate and the development aspect as well. So combining those things. Prior to applying for the scholarship, I never knew about what Crew Network was. So it was all a new experience. In my application process, I was kind of doubtful in applying, because it's like, how does architecture relate to commercial real estate? And my experience and all of my knowledge was basically solely in architecture. So getting exposure to the Crew Network was something different. And so I ended up finding out about the Crew Network scholarship through scholarships.com, actually. Just looking on one of my searches, I found it, and I looked at the, you know, kind of the benefits of what was being offered. And it was something different because, you know, a lot of times scholarships offer you, you know, just the money aspect, but this was offering an opportunity to be exposed to commercial real estate on, you know, a professional level, while also kind of giving you that funding benefit as well. And so I decided to go ahead and apply and be confident in my application, and in hopes that for the best that I was selected as a winner, and thankfully I was. So yeah, that's a little bit about me and my process.
Thank you, Autumn. Excellent. Well, I can share the perspective of being a scholarship selection committee member. So a quick recap, as Jeanette shared, Crew Network Foundation, the scholarship program, has awarded more than $1 million to 171 female students at 89 universities across 35 states and provinces in the US and Canada, starting in 2008. And in 2020, Crew Network selected 25 female graduate and undergraduate students to receive a total of the $125,000 in scholarship funds. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be involved with the Foundation Scholarship. I participated in leading Crew DC's efforts to raise and contribute funds as one of the founding chapters of the scholarship. And in addition, I've had the honor of serving on the scholarship committee, selection committee twice, most recently in 2020, reviewing the undergraduate applications. And the opportunity to review the applications and to meet on paper such impressive members of the real estate community is inspiring and humbling, because these are the future leaders of our industry. And along with that, the high quality applicants makes this scholarship a competitive process. And through reviewing people on paper, or applications on paper, that's how I connected with Autumn. I first met her through her application before we even had a chance to meet on screen. So a little bit about the Scholarship Selection Committee. It's comprised of Crew leaders from across the US and Canada, and the committee reviews the completed and qualified applications based on the published selection criteria. And those criteria are academic record, commitment to a career within the commercial real estate industry, extracurricular activities, a history of employment and volunteer work, and personal and professional references. So I'll give you two takeaways to think about as we get ready to go into the Q&A session. So my takeaways for you or anyone who's considering the application process is focus on the essay. And I loved Autumn's comment about be confident in her application. And so I say that comes through in your essay. So use that to highlight your communication skills, and consider using storytelling techniques and potentially use it as an opportunity to share your why. And then my second takeaway would be to line up your letters of recommendation, because that's someone else's voice telling your story and highlighting your skills. And we'll talk to Autumn a little bit about the logistics and her process for lining up the letters of recommendation. So let's kick it off. If anybody has questions, please share them in the chat. Feel free to type them in. We're in Zoom land, so if you want to use the Zoom raise your hand function, feel free to do that. Or you can literally wave your hand. And Kelly agreed to be helpful and keep an eye out for people who have questions or comments to share. So let's kick it off with a question for Autumn. And I'd like you to dig in a little more. I appreciated your comments on how the Crew Scholarship, you learned about it on scholarship.com, and that it offered a different set of value or reward. Can you dig in a little bit more about how it is differed from other scholarships that you've received?
Yes. So over the course of these last 4 years, I've received a number of scholarships in which they specifically helped with tuition and books and, you know, your typical expenses, college expenses. But with Crew Scholarship, with the Crew Network Scholarship, you have the opportunity to network with people within the real estate field. The scholarship, like when we actually got notified about our recipient of the scholarship, a lot of the scholars kind of just looked each other up on LinkedIn and were willing to open up to each other and say, hey, you know, we're fellow scholars, so we can have mutual contact. And although we come from different backgrounds of like architecture or business or finance or things of that nature, we were able to just have a common ground. And so that itself was different, because in a lot of other scholarships, you don't get that opportunity to say, to like put a face to these names that are also on the list with you. as recipients. And so that was an opportunity for me to kind of get introduced to people that were interested in some of the things that I was interested in. And being that I'm kind of new to the whole commercial real estate, industry, and still kind of filling it out, that was something that was special because now I'm connected to some people that are already at different levels within the industry itself. Another aspect is the internship opportunity aspect, a paid internship. And so although it's optional, it's still on the table. So I know internships can be, sometimes difficult to obtain, especially now since we're in a pandemic, but you do have that opportunity to reach out to someone and say, hey, you're interested in, working with this place or, a firm or a company. And so that was something that was very intriguing and kind of wanting me to apply for it as well. The other aspect was the crew biz and kind of the crew network aspect of it, where we're able to utilize this platform that's similar to LinkedIn. And it has, a plethora of people that are also in the industry on a professional level where you can connect with those people and reach out to those people to just gain some insight or read about things that are happening around us. So that was something that was really special about this program.
And Autumn may not know this yet, but it was just announced about a week ago that there are some major upgrades coming to the CrewBiz app. And it's going to be much more robust. It's going to have a lot more interactivity. My personal favorite is that you're going to be able to make a Crew Network Foundation donation on the app and not have to get on your computer. But there's a lot of really great upgrades. Again, it was just announced a week ago. It hasn't sort of filtered through everyone, but you'll be looking out for that. And as a scholarship winner with your 18-month Crew Network membership, you would have access to that platform, which is includes all somewhere around 12,000 members of Crew Network across North America and the UK.
Excellent. Okay. I have another question for you, Autumn, and then we'll see if we have anything from the group. And I have a couple for Jeanette as well. But Autumn, can you tell us a little bit about the letters of recommendation process, both for this Crew Network Foundation scholarship and then any other tips that you've learned through the other scholarships?
Okay. Specifically speaking on the letters of recommendation first, because I have the benefit of being in a small architecture program, so I'm able to develop personal relationships with some of my professors or even department chairs, where they can know me by face and see me as a person. And so what I did was I kind of analyzed who I knew me best and chose those people to write my letters of recommendation, and really just chose people that I know I performed well in their class, and I know that I was being attentive in the work that I was putting in, and know that they can speak to me, know they can speak for me and about me on much more than a surface level. So that's how I chose the people that were going to write my letters of recommendation. As far as tips, I will say that when I was applying for the scholarship, I kind of started and stopped. And part of that was because I was kind of doubtful in how well my application would stand against the other applicants. And that part of that was just being me doubtful. And so I really just kind of took a step back and looked at it and said, these are some great opportunities for me to progress in my professional career. And what am I going to lose for not applying and submitting my application? And so that really is what fueled me to just go ahead and say, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to write these essays and just speak to my personal experience and what my passions are, and make sure that I'm being vocal enough in my essays that these people can see who I am and where I want to be. And so with that, I just went down and sat down and submitted the application and hope for the best after that.
Great. I love, thank you for sharing that. As you shared, and as people probably know, there are lots of people who start the application process for this scholarship specifically, as well as I would imagine others. And my understanding is about 50% of people complete it. So do you have any words of advice, maybe a kick in the behind or anything that was helpful to get over the finish line?
Um, I mean, it's really just about you and where you want to be. You know, do you think the crew scholarship benefits are going to help you progress in your career? Do you think, I mean, because it's all about what you make it, you know, if you utilize the things that they are offering to put you in a better position. And so that was really the key for me, was I kind of need this other support system for me to be able to get to where I want to be or learn about more things that I'm interested in. And so you just really have to look at where your trajectory is in your career, and sit down and look at it and say, are these things something that I want to partake in? And you know, if they do, if you are interested in some of those aspects, then I say go ahead and submit the application.
I have a couple of questions in the chat for you. One, did you ever offer to write the recommendation letters for your teacher? Like they just had to sign their name, or did they pretty much just write it themselves?
No, they pretty much just wrote them themselves. You know, I reach out to them about a couple weeks ahead of the deadline to give them enough time, and just kind of explain to them, this is what the scholarship is, and this is why I'm interested in it. Would you be open to it? And thankfully, I haven't had anyone say no, they're not open to it, or want me to write the recommendation myself. They were pretty much on board with providing me with a scholarship, because they knew that it will be something very helpful.
And I think, Autumn, to your point that you made earlier, knowing the student who is requesting the recommendation more than just a face in the class. I get asked to write recommendations for other things a lot. And if you don't know them that well, it's difficult. And you know, you might ask the question, why is somebody asking you for a recommendation that maybe you don't know very well? Not every student has the opportunity like you do to be that close to your professors and the other faculty. And so, you know, I would feel, to write a recommendation, I would need to know at least some level, you know, that you were attending, that you participate in class, that you're doing that type of thing. But it is easier for someone to write a recommendation if you're interacting with them on an ongoing basis. But if you don't have the opportunity that maybe Autumn did, make sure that you're trying to be visible, that you're asking good questions, that you're being thoughtful, that, you know, you provide information to other students that you're in class with. I think people see that and pay attention to that, and then get more comfortable to write letters of recommendation.
Great. I have another question for Autumn. Do you feel, since you've been in this program and the new people that you've met, has that helped you grow as a person?
I think it's definitely opened my eyes to a lot more things that are within the real estate industry. Because I personally didn't know, you know, much about it, other than these are commercial properties and goods and services, and people sell land and choose land and develop it. But other than that, I really didn't know much. And so the people, like the scholars that I have met, they were very open and just kind of guiding me into, like, you know, providing me information. So I think it has helped me grow and to see that there's a larger kind of view, a vantage point of the real estate industry and where I can go with it. So yes, they're definitely helpful.
Great. I have a follow-up question that wasn't in the chat. This is my own question. Were you able to join the network convention? Because I think you get a convention fee as part of your scholarship. Were you able to do that?
Yes, so although kind of the week that it was being hosted, I had some exams and things of that nature, but because it was virtual at the time, I was able to join in on a few of the seminars that were available. And so, yeah, like it was really flexible. You don't have to go to every event. There was a plethora of events with different people, giving like kind of TED Talks and things of that nature. So the few that I did sit on were very insightful.
Great. And then this is a question both for Mandy and Autumn. One of the essay questions asks to describe an example of your leadership. The first for Mandy, do you recommend using storytelling to answer this question?
Yes, I think that's a great place. And thank you for the question. It's a good one because that's really where, as the person reviewing the applications, you get a chance to meet on paper, meet that person. So yes, practice your telling skills with the essay.
Great. And then for Autumn, did you have the same question and how did you approach it?
I believe I did have this question, and I kind of explained. Yeah, I did. I took a personal approach. I don't say I would take a storytelling approach, but I did take a personal approach in just explaining how I felt my leadership has helped in organizations that I'm involved in, or just even in the classroom itself. So it wasn't necessarily a storytelling approach, but just more of a personal approach. And this is how it helped, how my leadership skills helped.
Great. So I have another question for Jeanette. How many people apply for the scholarship every year?
It's about 200 that start the applications. Over the past few years, the completed applications have been around 100. Some years, a few less, and last year, a few more. I can tell you, I just had an update last week. We have more applications started than I've ever seen or heard of before, which is very exciting. The good news is we do award 25 of them. So that's a good chunk, of the applications that will be successful, which we love. But that's sort of where we are. It's significantly higher than it has been in the past. The question, as always, is who completes them?
And just a note, in the past few years, of the 25 scholarships, 17 have been awarded to undergraduate students and 8 have been awarded to graduate students. Okay, so Jeanette, keeping on that subject, would you share the schedule for submitting and reviewing and when the winners are announced?
Sure. So the deadline is April the 15th for applications to be submitted. So you still have almost 45 days. So yay. And then the review process will take place. I don't actually participate in the review. I just manage the review. And then the winners will be announced at our June spring. Yeah, hopefully winter's over soon. At our June Spring Leadership Summit, which is currently scheduled to be in St. Louis. We'll see if it's an in-person or a virtual event, but that's the time frame where they'll be announced.
We have another question about how to choose your recommendations. Is it better or best to have at least one professor write your letter of recommendation, since academics are also part of the selection decision?
So I can answer from the context of the selection committee. To Autumn and Jeanette's earlier conversation about selecting who writes the letters of recommendation for you. So if you feel like you don't have an advocate or someone who through academics or a professor who can speak on your behalf, then that's probably not the best place for you to go to get your letters of recommendation. Maybe it's someone you've worked with, maybe it's someone in the community. All of the above have been submitted as letters of recommendation. but definitely if you have an opportunity similar to Autumn's where you get to engage with your professors and the faculty, then that's a great resource for your letter of recommendation. Okay, I have another question for Jeanette, a little more info on the internship. So summer 2022 for the 2021
Correct.
scholars, correct? Okay. And can you tell us a little bit about what the internship program has looked like in the past, knowing that during COVID-19 times, we're all adapting?
Yeah, that's last year's, was a bit more complicated. Unfortunately, there were some internships that, did not occur. There are certain companies that partner with Crew Network to provide these scholarships. What we hope is that there are partners that have opportunities within the field that you're looking at. I can tell you this came up recently, and there are some members here who are willing to help find an internship if one of the ones might not be out there, but they're really subject to individual companies' structure and that type of thing. Again, we would always hope they would be in person and that they would be in a field that you're interested in, but they vary tremendously from company to company, and Crew Network works again with their partners to provide formal opportunities, and they are paid scholarship or paid internships, where I know that some of you probably have had opportunities to do internships where they're not paid, but these are paid. Probably not substantial amounts of money, but the experience that you can get working at a company like a CBRE. And even if you don't find an internship maybe that is exactly in your field of interest, think about opportunities where, so for example, if your interest is in development, but maybe a CBRE isn't working on a development project where they have an internship opportunity, think about the people you might work with in development, where you would work with brokers or where you would work with property managers. Or again, like Autumn is interested in architecture. Well, architects have clients, right? They get hired by people. So think of it too from that perspective of who would I be working with as an architect, and take that opportunity to get to know who your client might be in a different way. Again, hopefully we can find matches that work, but on occasion, that isn't possible. But I think it's a wonderful opportunity to get out there, learn more about the industry in general. And, we're all a big puzzle. I've got an asset management background, and the fun thing about asset management is we get to work with all of the different disciplines. And so it's really helpful to understand how they interact together, and development deals and buildings don't get built without all of us.
So we have a couple more questions for the reviewers. How important is your GPA?
So I can say that the eligibility criteria for the scholarship requires a minimum of a 3.0 on a 4.0 scale. So that's the threshold. And then the GPA is one of the 5 criteria that are used to evaluate the applications. So it's one of the considerations for sure.
Out of those 5 considerations, are they all pretty ranked equally? Or is one more important than the other? Like, which would you say, well, what are the 5 and what's the most important?
So the 5 are academic record, commitment to a career within the commercial real estate industry, extracurricular activities, history of employment and volunteering, and then personal and professional references. And they do have different rankings within the application process. It is all done, fortunately, through software that helps track the applications and the submissions. Me personally, I spend a lot of time on the essays, and I spend time on the letters of recommendation, and then understanding from those 2 things, the commitment to participating in commercial real estate industry, and then how your activities and volunteering and other things support that commitment.
Great. Well, that's also related to our next question, which says what stands out besides academics and applications. So I think you already answered that. The next question would be, and I know the answer to this, but I'm going to let Kathy answer it. Does the program provide mentors that are easy to connect for support?
So prior to being selected for a scholarship, this is as you're preparing your application to be submitted, we have Crew DC members who will help you. They'll read your application. They will give you an unbiased opinion. They will help you maybe if something, ask you questions like, well, maybe there's more about this or there's more about that. They are not on the selection committee. They're just crew members, but they're really motivated to help bring more women into the industry and really want to help. So it's an offer that stands. You all received a confirmation email from me this morning confirming today's session. Respond to me, let me know you'd be interested in connecting with someone. You and I will have a little conversation about what specialties you're pursuing, and then I'll connect you with a Crew DC person. There really is no reason for you not to treat this as an opportunity to make one more fantastic connection. So I encourage each of you who are considering submitting to do this, because networking is where it's at, and people getting to know you is a good thing.
And that's a great, I don't see any more questions in the chat, so I'm just going to ask a general question for any crew member that's on right now, and just ask, what are the benefits that you've gotten out of your crew membership? Because that is one of the awards for this scholarship as well. So for students applying, like Autumn mentioned, she hadn't heard of crew before, but if anyone wants to take that one, what's been a benefit that you've had from your crew membership?
There is a question in the chat box, and I can answer it.
Oh.
Because I did once question my career choice. Some people would never believe that, but I did. I won't tell you the exact timing, but it was a very long time ago. It was in probably the first of my downturns. I'm sad to say I've been through quite a few, but I did question, like, why real estate? Why is this the right thing for me? It was a tough time in the industry. I'd worked for a couple of companies that went under, and and it's like, I don't want to keep doing this. And I'll tell you how I kind of came to a conclusion on it. There is a book, and it's been around for years and gets updated over and over again, and it's called What Color Is My Parachute? And I said, okay, this is it. I'm doing this book. I wish I could remember how I found out about it, but I did. And I sat down and I went through the whole book, and I was like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be. It really fit I haven't done the book for a long time, although I've recommended it. At the time, it had 4 quadrants, like, what do I like? What don't I like? What am I good at? And what am I not good at? And when you looked at the skills that were required for the part of real estate that I was working in, it really just sort of made it cohesive. And it's funny because I never really questioned it after that. And I love the industry. And maybe this bleeds a little into the question Kelly asked, but what I love about the industry is it's so dynamic. There are people of all sorts. There are so many ways to be involved in commercial real estate. Like, I'm an asset management person. But I mean, there's architecture and brokerage, and there is a discipline that meets the criteria that every single person, I think, could possibly want in real estate, because you can be a lawyer and an accountant, a banker. I mean, good grief. Any skill set that you have, there is some discipline in real estate that fits it. And I love the part about being able to drive past buildings and say, that's my building. Or I was involved in that building, or oh, look, that tenant name that's on the top of that building, I did that lease. It's fun in an industry where you can touch and feel things. And then the other part I like is, if you make a mistake, no one dies. So you get to get up, and we all make mistakes, because if you're not making mistakes, you're not trying hard enough. You get to get up, and you get to look at what you did and evaluate it, and then try not to do it again and move on and learn something new.
One thing I would say to the group to answer Kelly's specific question about crew is and it's part of kind of playing off what Kathy just talked about as well. There's no cold call in crew. If you have a question, you have a need, you can call anybody, and you can use that CrewBiz app that Jeanette was talking about to find specific people. So I work for an engineering company, and when we wanted to start a new office in Seattle, I pulled up Crew Seattle's members, and I reached out to at least 4 or 5 of them who knew nothing about me other than I was a crew member from Crew DC, and took meetings with my team because of that. So it's the networking goes beyond networking into real jobs and to real friendships and mentors and everything.
Excellent. Well, I wanted to check in with Autumn and see if you can share, were there any surprises or hidden nuggets that you learned during your process of applying, or your time as a foundation scholar?
The CrewBiz application, that was something, because it's not promoted on, like, within the benefits and stuff like that. So when it came time for the convention, I was like, what is this? Like, what is this application that they're, people are adding me on? So that was something that was very surprising for me. And just being introduced to that application and kind of like playing around with it just to see what's on there and what's available.
And for people who are on the call who don't know what that is, it's right now it's a website, but it can also be a phone app. And I think maybe somebody else can have some more information on what that is. But you could go into the website, and if you're a member, you can log in and you can see profiles for pretty much anyone else that's a member. You can see their contact information. You can email in the directory. So it's like LinkedIn, but on steroids, because you have all of the information and it's not hidden. And you can also, like Miriam mentioned, if you're looking for people from a specific area, you can search by area, you can search by expertise, you can search certain keywords, you can do all of these things that makes it easier to find the connections that you're looking for.
I think
go ahead.
I think one of the things that's most interesting about CrewBiz is that it's been around for a long time for crew members. It's a members only benefit. And of course, for our scholars, it's a benefit too. But the advent of the coronavirus pandemic really pushed us all just exclusively to online, and suddenly our utilization just skyrocketed. And the Crew Network Open Forum Digest, which is basically, that email bulletin board that we use internally, I glance at it. If not every day, then I save them up and I look at them to see if there's any topics that are of interest. It takes like 10 seconds, but I feel really connected, and every now and then I'll contribute. So that's been a real benefit.
To explain a little further, it's an email that comes out every day, and you can start a conversation or join a conversation. And, if you're looking for something, or if, you want to just bounce an idea off of the organization, that's a way to do it. And you can look at it every day. I look at it almost every day. There are job opportunities in there. So if you're looking, those show up, or maybe someone who's looking. Again, it's not always about you. I can tell you the CrewBiz app for me is wonderful. And Crew Network, I started my own company 2 years ago, and I would never have felt confident enough to do it without my crew, as I call them, and most of us call them our crew. But the other day I had an opportunity that didn't really fit for me. I said, listen, I don't know of anyone off the top of my head, but give me a little bit of time and I'll do some outreach. And the first thing I did after I hung up the phone with him was to get on CrewBiz and put in some search things. And I came up with a couple of people that I did some outreach to, and some others that I knew off the top of my head. But it's a really fabulous tool, and I use it all the time.
Hi, this is Elaine Wardala. I'm at George Washington University, and I'm sorry I don't have my camera on. But I did want to say I also have been part of Crew for a long time in numerous parts of the country, and every single chapter that I've been engaged with, everybody's been, as everybody has already said, extremely helpful, and it's really good for business opportunities. So people do definitely, suggest, as was just mentioned, suggest other crew members for jobs and help. So when I was in Charleston, I just got to DC, but in Charleston, we regularly recognized, what two crew people at our luncheons did work together. And it was fascinating to see all the deals that were getting done because of that crew network. So ladies that are applying, I really encourage you to get those applications finished, because I do know that often is part of the problem. I know you're busy. I'm a professor, and I know you're really busy this time of year, but take some time over your spring break and get it in, because it's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity that the Crew Foundation has created for you. And
I think we lost you, Elaine.
I was done, but I talked and you didn't hear me. I'm sorry. I was just encouraging them.
I think we just lost the very tail end. I think we heard the majority of what you were saying.
Great.
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions or comments? I have wrap-up questions for Jeanette and Autumn. Oh, I see a question from Tracy. I'm reading it. Okay.
Me too.
So there's a connection. Tracy notes that many high school students or schools specifically could benefit from working with Crew. And this goes back to the work that Crew Foundation does through Crew Careers. And her high school of Art and Design, has an architecture program. So there's an opportunity to partner with them. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy.
Tracy will connect, because on this call are a number of people who participate in the Crew Careers work for Crew DC. Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Any other questions? Okay. So Jeanette, final question for you. What's next for the Crew Network Foundation Scholarship?
I did it again, twice on this darn call. I've gotten so good, and I've been on Zoom calls for the last few weeks, so it's not like I'm out of practice. We're focused. It's been a tough couple of years with COVID, and so we're focused on, maintaining. Historically, we awarded 20 scholarships, and so we bumped that up to 25. Our goal is to continue that. I would say, based on the research from our most recent benchmark study, we have a lot of work to do to reach parity, which we're trying to get to. And so the importance of the scholarship program becomes clearer and clearer, in that we need to make sure that we're working to change the industry from high school, college on up. And, the scholarship program is a key part of that. And, we want to bring in new people to the industry, like the young women on the call, and make sure that we can carry out our mission. And even though the last 2 years, or last year and this year, are tough, we want to continue to move that forward. I think we're looking at different ways to do it. And I think COVID actually brought to us this virtual thing that we're doing. And I do think that will be a part of the future. And I think that that will help us expand our reach, because there are some people maybe who have challenges getting to functions and meetings and that type of thing. So I'm excited about that, but just continuing our mission, doing it in an equitable way, and making sure our industry is the best that it can be. And I'm excited to have all of you potential young leaders join the ranks.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, Autumn, how about you? What's next for you in 2021 and into 2022?
Well, after the semester, well, I'm currently in the process of applying for internships right now. So going through that whole process. And then after the semester ends, I've started preparing to get LEED certified for Green Associate. So that's something very important to me and I've wanted to do for a while now. So I'm gathering my study materials now so I can take the test after the semester ends. And then, next year I'll be graduating. So looking to, start the process of getting my license and hopefully working for a firm that's going to push me forward. But yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. So a quick reminder and an echo of what many of you have said. The deadline for the scholarship is April 15th, 2021. Just do it. Finish the application. Put it out there. Like Autumn said, be confident in your application. Be confident in you. You are literally the future leaders of the commercial real estate industry. So Crew Network is here to support you. I want to echo also what Kathy said and a number of people have said. If you have questions about the scholarship, reach out. If you have questions about Crew DC, Crew Northern Virginia, Crew Suburban Maryland, Crew Atlanta, Crew Seattle, AZ Crew. So many people on this call today represent multiple chapters around the continent and across the pond as well. So reach out. If you want to learn about more opportunities in real estate, reach out. If you want to know what it's like growing up in Alaska, you can call me. If you want to know what it's like starting your own business, you can call Jeanette, you can call me, you can call Kathy. There's all sorts of things. We're here to support you and help the industry be the best it can be, as Jeanette noted. So we still have a few minutes. If anybody has questions, happy to address them. I'll put my email in the chat. Feel free to shoot me a note. We can have a virtual coffee, or you can just shoot me an email and we'll connect. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Autumn. Thank you, Jeanette. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Kathy, for helping us.
Yes, thank you for doing this. Really appreciate it, all of you. Autumn, Kelly, Jeanette, Mandy, thank you very much. And thank you all for joining in. Email me, you have my email. Email me if you would like to have a helper, advisor, mentor on your application. We have people standing by. It sounds like I'm selling something, but we do really, literally have people standing by who want to help.
Yes, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure talking to everyone about this.
Excellent. Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.